Hey guys, welcome to the US SAT March 2023 no calculator section paper. So the way this video works is that I go through each question and kind of tick off what the correct answer is. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, so question one, what we've got here, look, I gotta say this is the first time I'm actually doing this paper. I'm all the way from New Zealand and we assess things differently. So it's kind of weird for me to have a look at an exam paper and see, multi-choice answers here. But anyway, let's kick things off here. What's the value of, I think this is the beauty of it. I guess you guys don't need to show working. You just select the answer and then you're good to go. But anyway, so what do we got here? I am going to do the working, by the way. So we've got x plus 10 is equal to 3. So we can see that x is equal to 3, take away 10, and we're going to get x is equal to -7. All right, so option I'm going to go with is B, and looking at the answer schedule, I got this right. Yes, we are on the right path. Cool, let's see how fast I can get through these 20 questions. Question number 2. Oh, I did forget to mention, I mean, normally when I make my own videos, I kind of ask people to pause the video and then, try the questions by themselves. But I don't know how you guys do it, but yeah, you could do the same thing. Pause the video at the start of the question, see what the answer is, and then unpause the video. But I kind of forgot to mention that at the beginning. All right, so what we've got is we've got somebody that's actually spending $150 for supplies and then $25 for each loan. So all right, so if we look at it like this, she loses $150 straight away, so it's minus $150, and then she's charging $25 for each loan. The loan is X. Okay, so we can put down that 25X is the money that she's actually making per loan, right? So it's 25 per loan. All right, so what do we got to do? Where X number of which equation represents the situation. Now, like before I even look at A, B, C, D here, I'm gonna start kind of working this out. All right, so basically if you think about it, the way I would write this is that, okay, so she is charging, right? So her charge minus what do we got? Charge minus the cost, the initial cost. All right, so and then that's going to equal, I guess, profit is what I might actually say in this case. All right, so if we look at it like this, the initial cost was 150, and the charge that she's, you can call it income or whatnot, but like it's going to be 25 times the number of lawns. There's a lawn, yeah, lawn she mows. So 25x, take away 150, and then finally the profit is actually $50. So if I was to break this down, this is where that 50 is coming from, because she actually made 50 after the initial cost. So there's that initial cost of, which was 150, was actually subtracted, but also the charge is like 25 for each loan she actually does. Now it's always kind of tricky with these word questions, but I always say play around with numbers first, put some numbers in and have a look around and see how you go. So I'd probably go with, I guess in this case, the option is 25x minus 150 equals 50 there. Having a look at the answer schedule, it was really interesting because they had a different answer, which I don't agree with. They actually said it was C, but I don't know. Do people actually get these answer schedules wrong, like how they do back in New Zealand as well, or I don't know, man. C, I don't feel that's right. It doesn't make sense. But anyway, look, I'm sure you can always blame it on something else. But of course, any arguments, let's have it in the comment section. Yeah, cool. So let's go to question 3. So question 3, what we've got here is, what is the solution? Simultaneous equations. And we've actually got a lovely simultaneous equation, right? I mean, like, I don't know how you guys do it up in the Northern Hemisphere, but like, I'm sure it's maths is maths, but here we just looking at those two equations, I'm just going to subtract each of them. So what I'm going to do is write down y equals 18x plus 25, and below it I'm going to write y equals minus 14x minus 7. Now, at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to subtract this top equation minus the bottom equation. So that means I'm going to put a minus here, I'm going to put a minus here, and a minus there. And basically, what's happening here is I'm going to write down the equal sign right underneath it. Y take away y, that's y take away y. So I'm actually looking at this thing right now. So y take away y is 0. Then I've actually got 18 take away negative 14x, which is actually equal to positive 32x. And then we got 25 take away negative 7, which actually equals to positive 32. So what we've got here is 32x plus 32 is equal to 0, and 32x equals to minus 32. And then we can say that x is equal to minus 32 divided by 32, which is going to give us negative 1. So x equals to negative 1. Now the funniest thing is, like, you look at the answer schedule, I mean, like the multi-choice there, you've only got one answer, so I'm guessing y is going to equal 7, but let's test it out anyway. So we're going to go y is equal to negative 14 multiplied by negative 1 minus 7. Now guys, it doesn't matter which equation you put that negative 1 in. Theoretically, it should actually work out with both of them. So I've got positive 14 minus 7. So y is equal to positive 7, and my coordinate is, or solution is, negative 1, 7, which is option B. And lo and behold, the answer schedule says it's good to go. We're right with that one. All right, let's go to question 4. Question 4. I've got to pause to read these questions. All right, so what we have got for this question is literally a rearranging question. So we're rearranging so that a is by itself. So I've got ax minus y is equal to bxy. So the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that y to the other side. Of course, it's negative y. When I bring it to the other side, it will become positive y. And of course, I've got to get rid of the x as well. So I'm going to have a is equal to bxy plus y, and that's all divided by x. And now it's just a matter of trying to figure out which of these letters it is, and we're looking at a right there. And the answer schedule says a as well. Cool. Moving on to the next question. Got a nice flow going here. It's good. Question 5. All right, guys. So with this question, yet again, I think I'm going to disagree with the answer schedule again. What is it? Question 5? Yeah, disagreeing. But look, what we've got here is a quadratic equation. All right, that's what that t squared plus t is. Now, I mean, like, look, if you don't remember what a quadratic equation, just think about the football. Football gets kicked. What's going to happen to it? What shape is that football's height doing? So if you imagine it like this, all right, you've got a ground right there, and then let's say the pink is going to be the path of the football. So from the ground, well, maybe not from the ground, is it? Well, we can say from the ground, because let's say someone puts the football on the ground and kicks it from there. It's going to have a shape like this, all right? This is going to have a parabola shape right there. So now what it's actually saying is that h of 2 is 0.40. All right, now if you think about it, it says t is in seconds, h is height. So in that case, what we can kind of say is that somewhere along here, all right, so if this is, like, let's say if this is t is equal to 0, we don't know what this t right here is, but maybe when t is equal to 2, all right, and we can kind of say that this here is going to be the height, and that's 0.40. So basically what you're saying is that the football has a height of 0.4 meters 2 seconds after it's actually kicked. Now you might wonder, it's like, hang on, what's that other endpoint is? Now if you factorize this quadratic at the top here, what you'll end up with is 2 values for t, and then one of those other values happens to be that. So the answer really that I'm looking at in this case is the football has a height of 0.4 meters 2 seconds after it's kicked. 40 centimeters. That's not really very high for the football. Like 40 centimeters. 40 centimeters. Now I'm digressing. Let's go back to question 6. So question 6 here, what we've got here is an absolute value question. Now I'll be honest, I've not done this in a long time, but man, it's good to have a look at these questions again. So we're going to put down 15 minus x. The absolute value of that minus 9 equals to 0. And again, look, I'm sorry if I do this in a different way. It's just, you know, understand maths slightly differently, and you guys might have different shortcuts there, but it's all right. In the end, it's maths. So we've got plus 9. So we've got an absolute value of this is equal to 9, right? So the way I see it is that inside bracket, like inside whatever the 15 minus x that's actually inside the absolute value, 15 minus x is equal to 9, or 15 minus x equals to minus 9. Now the reason I put that is because remember, if you get absolute value of minus 9, you actually get positive 9, and the same thing, absolute value of 9 is just going to be 9. So I've actually got two things happening here. So with that in mind, I've got negative x is equal to 9, take away 15, and I'm going to get negative x is equal to negative 6, and x is equal to negative 6 divided by negative 1. Remember that there is a 1 in front of that x, and what we've got here is x equals to 24. And on the other side, we're going to be doing the same thing, except 15 is going to go to the other side, which ends up being minus 15. And then we've got negative x is equal to minus 24, and then x is equal to minus 24 divided by negative 1. And what we've got here is x is equal to positive 24 right there. So two answers should be 6 and 24, which is option number D. All right, question 7. All right, so with this question, what we've got is a couple of people making paper flowers. According to the graph, on average, how many paper flowers will Lucia make per hour? Well, under the assumption that we're looking at just Lucia actually working, because if Lucia is working, what? So time spent by Lucia in hours is 12. And that's assuming that John actually doesn't do anything. And if John doesn't do anything, Lucia is going to spend 12 hours doing all of these paper flowers. All right, so that means we've got 60 paper flowers in altogether. So we can actually say 12 times the number, like whatever her rate is, equals to 60 flowers. So then we can say that L is equal to 60 divided by 12, which means L is equal to 5. So on average, she's making 5 paper flowers per hour. So where's 5 there? So we've got option B there. I gotta admit that it's a really strange question, like, but yeah, I mean, like, I you know, I don't understand why they put the whole of John's line if we're not even going to use the guy. But anyway, look, let's go to question 8. All right, so what do we got? Graph of some function f of x is shown, which could, okay, so we've got 2x. Right. Now, look, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, all right? Like, looking at this, we can straight away pick out which graph it is, and the way we kind of do that is, yeah, I gotta admit, it's like I was like looking at this graph first and going, actually, yeah, it kind of makes sense, but then I was like, hang on a minute, they've actually put graph of f of x minus 1 is shown. So what we're going to do first is we're actually going to figure out what f of x is. Now, looking at the side, like, you know, all the multi-choice there, it's 2x. You can kind of see that this graph is actually 2x. Now, if I draw the graph 2x, actually, let's just put y equals to 2x, right? So 2 to the power of x. So if I do that, I know that 2 to the power of 0 is 1, 2 to the power of 1 is 2, 2 to the power of 2 is 4. And so what I'm hoping that you guys can see is that this graph that's been given here, the one in the black line, it's actually, what is it? It's actually going up by 1, right? So it's actually going up by 1 because you can see that there's always a little gap here of 1. So what I can then say is this black line here, it's actually equal to 2 to the power of x plus 1. Now, so straight away you're thinking, okay, now I know the answer is actually C. But there is a slight little trick with this question, and this is this part right here where it says f of x minus 1 is shown. So, and they're asking what is f of x. So if you think about it like this, f of x minus 1 is what is shown. So f of x minus 1 is equal to 2 to the power of x plus 1. So that black line that we see there is actually 2 to the power of x plus 1. But if you look at the question actually says f of x minus 1 is shown. So we've got one more little rearrangement to do, which is 2 to the power of x plus 1, which actually shows us that f of x is actually equal to 2 to the power of x plus 2. So definitely a little tricky question, but yeah, that's a real tricky mean question actually, to be honest. Cool, let's go to question 9. Okay, so what we've got here is square. What's the perimeter of the square? Wow, you guys got some good questions, but like some long questions as well. All right, so the first thing we got to do is we got to actually work out the radius of the circle. Once we figure out the radius of the circle, then we can actually work out the perimeter of the square. Now to figure out the radius of this circle, we've got to complete the square. So I'm going to start off here, x squared minus 10x plus y squared minus 6y. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move that 47 to the right hand side. Once I do that, now with completing the square, remember that it is halving and then squaring the coefficient of x. So I'm just going to write all of this down first. So half of negative 10 is actually negative 5, and then negative 5 squared is equal to 25. So what I'm going to do is plus 25 on both sides. Then I've got the y squared part of it, and with the y squared I've got negative 6. So half of negative 6 is negative 3. Negative 3 squared is equal to 9. So I've got 9 and plus 9 there. Okay, so with that in mind, the only part that I really need to worry about is I don't need to factorize. I mean, if you can factorize this if you want to. So if you factorize this, you will get x minus 5 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 47 plus 34 is 81, which is actually 9 squared. Now the radius of the circle is actually 9. So if we imagine it like this, all right? So here is our circle, and that is 9. But this circle is actually inside a square. That's an ugly square, but let's deal with it. So now they're asking what is the perimeter of the square. Now we know that the radius is 9. If the radius is 9, then the diameter is going to be 18. So this part here is going to be 18. All right, now if this is 18, we've got 18 here, we've got 18 here, 18 here, which means we've actually got C is equal to 72. Okay, so question 10, which expression is equal to this? So we've got 32 to the power of, actually no, I'm going to do it like this. So we've got a cubed b to the power of 4. And remember that when you have the fifth root, you can still write this as to the power of 1/5. So we're going to get 32 to the power of 1/5. Now Now, before I do that, I'm going to do one extra step here. Remember, 32 has a power of 1. So we've got 1 times 1/5. Then we've got a to the power of 3 times 1/5. B to the power of 4 times 1/5. Now 32 to the power of 1/5 is the same thing as saying 30, well, what do you call it? You know, how many times can you do 2 times till you get to 32? Now we know that 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Is that 5 2s? Yeah, it's 5 2s. It's 32. Not 5 times 2, but 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So we could rewrite this as 2a to the power of 3/5, b to the power of 4/5. And what we should be getting is option A. Looks good. Let's move on to the next question. Alright guys, so what we've got here is we've actually got two parts to this question, right? So first we've actually got to work out that little sphere thing, and then we've got to work out the cone as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of rough sketch it here. So we've got a cone, sphere, sorry, and the cone. Now I'm actually going to put down all the units here first so that it kind of makes it easy for us. Now we've got radius here of this sphere is 3, which means the cone's radius is also 3. Now the height, the whole height here is 9 centimeter. And because the sphere takes up 3 centimeters, the cone's height is going to be 6 centimeters. So with that in mind, formula for volume of a sphere is actually, what do we got? 4/3 pi r cubed plus volume of a cone, which is actually 1/3 pi r squared h. Now of course, I think surely these must be the same equations that we use on the other side of the planet as well, but we'll move along anyway. Alright, so radius is, what do we got? Radius is 3 here for this one. Radius for the cone also happens to be 3. And then we've got a height of 6 centimeters, which is going to end up here. So we've got 4/3 times pi 3 cubed plus 1/3 pi 3 squared times 6. So what do we got? 3 squared. I mean, we could actually make this 3 squared. Let's do that. So then we've got 9 times 4, which equals to 36 pi, plus we are going to lose one of the 3 there, and we've got 6 times 3, which happens to be 18 pi. Now I'm sitting there thinking, it's like something doesn't feel right, because it's like, you know, I've got 54 pi and I can't really see an answer there. Then the realization hits that actually I'm working with half a sphere. Alright, so that means I should have actually halved this. And this is where I get 18 pi plus 18 pi, which equals to 36 pi. And lo and behold, we have an answer for number 11. Okay, going to 12. Which of these following equations is equivalent? Alright, I mean, just expand the brackets, guys. So we've got a over 4 plus b over 3 times a over 4 plus b over 3. Expanding quadratics, I don't know what method we have, like, you know, people have like FOIL, insides, outsides, whatnot. But basically, we just got to make sure we multiply all those elements. All right, so we've got a squared over 4 squared plus we've got ab over 12 plus another ab over 12 plus b squared over 9. So we've got a squared, well, 3 squared, 9. You get the idea. A squared over 16 plus 2ab over 12 plus b squared over 9, and of course that becomes 1 and this becomes 6. We've got a squared over 16 plus ab over 6 plus b squared over 9. So looking at option D. Looks good. Moving to question 13. Now looking at question 13 here, folks, you got two linear equations, right? And the thing is, the system is exactly one solution. Basically, here's what you need to know about linear equations. There's three situations that could actually happen with linear equations. Situation 1, you have them meeting at a point. Situation 2, the two linear lines are actually parallel. And situation 3, the two linear lines are exactly the same, which means they are on top of each other. So having a look at this, the first thing you want to do is have a look at your how do I put it? I mean, you want to find out what the gradients are for each one of them. Now I'm just looking at the timing of this, and it's like gonna take you guys a long time to rearrange it. But the best way to do this type of question is to actually have a look at the coefficients of x and y. If you notice x and y in the original line, I'm looking at the two units, you've got 2 and negative 2. All right, now if you rearrange that, you're gonna end up with a negative slope. Now if you look at all those other options and looking at the answers there, you know, you've got A, B, and D, they're all the same. Because even if you look at D, it's actually negative 1 and positive 1. So the only set of equation that's actually slightly different, negative 10x plus 8y, is the only one that's actually slightly different. When I say different, I'm looking at the coefficients. Are the two coefficients of x and y the same? Because in here it is the same, it's 8 and 8. In here it's 3 and negative 3. In here it's 1 and positive 1. And so the only one that's not actually the same is actually C. Now all of those three other situations, they're actually parallel lines. All right, and green is the only one that actually ends up kind of intersecting this linear line at this point. So yeah, that's kind of how to answer this question. All right, question 14. So with these graphs, the first thing I do is look at the denominator, guys. The denominator is x plus 2, right? Now x plus 2 cannot actually equal to 0. So for example, if I put x plus 2 is equal to 0, that means x is actually equal to minus 2. Now what this generally means is that you can't actually have x equals to minus 2, because then the denominator would become 0, and then you can't actually, you know, it doesn't exist. So wherever there's an asymptote, that's basically where your I forgot this vertical asymptote is for at negative 2. All right, so now looking at negative 2, there's a couple of situations. We could have negative 2 there. We could potentially have negative 2 there. I mean, it does look very steep. And we could also have a situation here. So that bottom part is actually giving us 3 possible answers that we could have. Now the next thing I would do is I would actually put down x is equal to 0. Because when I put x equals to 0, I'm going to get negative 4 times 0 plus 16 divided by 0 plus 2, which equals to 16 over 2, which equals to 8. So I'm actually looking for a point. This point actually exists in one of the graphs. And if you look at 0, 8, the only one that's remotely close is this one here, because 0, 8 is somewhere here, 0, 8 is somewhere here, so I can kind of see that is why I am going to be going with D for this question. All right, let's go to question 15. Question 15, it says function, what's the y-intercept of the graph? Y-intercept of the graph? You just put x equals to 0, guys. So we've got f of 0 gives you y-intercept. So that means we've got f of 0 is equal to 5 to the power of 0 plus 3. 5 to the power of 0 is 1. 1 plus 3 is equal to 4. my interruption. So I mean, the guys that are down in, the guys that I've worked with back home, they know about this. Like every now and then when I do streaming or recording videos, my dog Watson likes to go out and bark. That's just his way of saying hello to all of you guys. But he's been pretty quiet. But anyway, look, let's go on to the next one, all right? So we've got 0, 4 as the point. That is going to be the y-intercept, which means we should be looking at B for 15. Yeah, looking good. All right, let's go 16. Question 16 is defined by this. What is the slope? Oh, we got no more multi-choice questions. Oh, wow. Okay. Right. What is the slope of the graph? Y equals mx in the xy plane. Now, I don't know why they do this, right, with you guys. And I don't know why they would put m as a function. I mean, we all know, I don't know, is this what you guys do here? We know that y is equal to mx plus c. I hope that this is what they do up there. But like basically, m generally stands for gradient. And I can see how this question can be so confusing when you see m of x. Let's ignore him. So we've actually got 30x plus 120, which generally means that m is the gradient, which is equal to 30, and then c is equal to 120, which happens to be the y-intercept. So I guess in this case, the slope, you'd want to, I don't know, I guess you would have to write it down, like maybe, I don't know, what do they got? Slope is 30. Slope is 30. That's what I would do. Oh, no. Right question. Question 17. All right. So question 17, what we are asked to find is when is f of x equals to 1? So we can say that 1 is equal to 1/5 x plus 9 over 10. Now, just to make things a bit easy for me, I'm just going to flip it over straight away here. And you might be wondering, whoa, how did you do that? All right, remember, if I have 5 is equal to 2 plus 3, it's the same thing as saying 2 plus 3 equals to 5 without having to swap the symbol. So all I've done is I've just, two things equal each other, flipped it around. Can do that. Beauty of maths. Right, now from here you've got a couple of different ways of doing this, all right? Like the first way you could do is you could make the denominator same, you could make the 9 over 10 to the other side. I'm going to go with denominators being the same. X over 5 plus 9 over 10 is equal to 1. And I know that the lowest common multiple between 5 and 10 is 10. So I'm going to multiply the denominator by 2, the numerator by 2. And what happens is I get 2x over 10 plus 9 over 10 equals to 1. So I could combine these denominators now. So I'm going to get 2x plus 9 over 10 is equal to 1. And in this next step, I'm going to get rid of the 10 by bringing it to the other side and multiplying it. So I've got 2x plus 9 is equal to 10. 2x is equal to 10. Take away 9. And I've got 2x is equal to 1. And x is equal to 1 over 2. Could leave it as a decimal point, but I don't know. I think you might need to check your guys' rules on it. Because I know I read it very, very briefly that your answers had to be written in a certain way. So anyway, let's go to question 18. All right, so what have we got here? We've got line K in the xy plane has a slope negative 2p over 5. So that means the gradient is equal to negative 2p over 5. And the y-intercept is at 0p. So we could say that c is equal to p. The question is asking what is the x-coordinate of the x-intercept of line K. Now, the equation for this line itself is y is equal to, let's say if it's mx plus c, then we can actually say m is equal to negative 2p over 5x plus c, which happens to be p. Now, to figure this part out here, to find the x-coordinate, y is equal to 0. All right. That's what we're trying to figure out. Because if you think about it like this, we've got a set of axes here and then negative 2p over 5, so something like this. And you can kind of see at this point, if you want to find the x-coordinate, then y is actually equal to 0. So we're going to put down 0 is equal to negative 2px over 5 plus p. I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did the last time. I'm going to switch everything around. So I'm going to get negative 2px over 5 plus p is equal to 0. So remember that whole 5 is equal to 2 plus 3 and then 2 plus 3 equals 5. That's all I've done here. I'm going to get rid of the p by itself. So negative 2px over 5 equals 0 minus p. Then I'm going to get negative 2px over 5 equals minus p. Get rid of the 5. I've got negative 2px equals negative p times x. Sorry, times 5. Put that in red. Then I've got x by itself, which is negative p times 5, which could be written as negative 5p. And that's all divided by negative 2p. Now, of course, at this point, you can kind of see that the two p's are going to cancel out each other. The negatives are going to cancel out each other. And we are left with x is equal to 5 over 2. Cool. Question 19. Oh. All right, guys. So with question 19, what we've got here is, first off, we've got a point G somewhere here. Now, we don't know where it is. But the angle DFG, which happens to be this one right here. All right, so the yellow part right there is DFG. Ooh, that's a terrible color to use. Should have stuck to highlighters. And then you've got GFE, which happens to be this angle here. All right, so you got the yellow angle and you got the green angle. Now the yellow angle, it actually says that it's x, and then the green angle here is the y part of it. So the yellow DFG is x and GFE is y. Now what is the value of cos x minus sine y1? Whatever. This is one of those trig identities, right? You got to remember, and I kind of remember back this from like a while ago. But basically, if you take in a supplementary angle, right? So that's supplementary, complementary. I always get confused with that one. Supplementary and complementary. How do you remember them? I think I remember the trick that I had was like C comes first and then S. So C adds up to 90, and then S adds up to 180. Anyway, complementary angles is what we're looking at here. And basically, it just adds up to 0, right? Because it's like, I mean, like I could show you in a calculator, but obviously in this exam you're not allowed calculators, but it is a trig identity with complementary angles. So in this case the answer is actually just going to be a big fat 0. Okay, question 20. All right, guys, so with question 20 we're asked to find what is the sum of the solutions to the given equation. Now if you've been working with the quadratic equations, you will remember that sum of the solutions to the equation is actually minus b over a, and in this case we've got a is equal to 3, b is equal to minus 2, so the sum is equal to negative of negative 2 over 3, which is equal to 2 over 3. Cool. So yeah, that's basically it, I believe, for these 20 questions for what is it, the 2023 March SAT paper with no calculators. By the way, guys, if you have any questions or comments, just put it in the comment section below, and if you have any other exams that you want me to go through, just flick a message to me on any of the socials there, or as an email. As for the guys that are in New Zealand that's been watching this and got up to this point, I promise you I'm getting to the other exam papers soon enough. Alright, that is it for this video. As always, don't forget to like this video, share this video, and of course subscribe to keep up with the latest content. That's basically it. As always, thank you for watching.